Not the 80s, but
Anybody need a top up?
This is South African.
no, this one's from German, it's French. Real French.
Anyone else need topping up?
Narrative David and philosophy.
Real pleasure for Wynne and I to have, hosted this get together in celebration of Jim's book that has recently been published, The Inside Story, covering basically 50 years of departmental history from 1950s to the 2010. And, it was a pretty interesting and exciting period to be involved with the department. Really benefited from being able to retain its culture and its, in a way, separateness from the other departments. So, that sort of was the framework. But the key thing, of course, is people.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what sort of structures you've got. And the thing of the department has been its people. And this is what Jim's book is about. So, it's a remarkably stable staff. I mean, starting John Loughton came in shortly after Miles, and then Sandy Smith and Margaret Loughton. And then one of the first new appointees was this man here. When they were still in the old building. And what happened, of course, with moving into science teaching, the departments expanded quite rapidly, and it was a period of significant growth. So in short order, from James, then Lizzie, the man standing in the corner there, Frank was next, Gerald Tannock, John Tagg, and who else was it? Mark Holmes. They were all appointed in that period, early to mid 1970s, and that laid the foundation of the department. Because it's quite remarkable. I think a lot of people who did come looking for a position here were expecting to stay a year or two, but virtually everybody stayed to see their career out here. And it's that stability and strength that has underpinned the success of the department, and able to call on its own culture and staff. So starting with Sandy Smith, then Frank, then Vernon for a period, then Lizzie, Clark, and now Vernon. So having that strength of leadership in the department, I think, has been one of its major assets. So anyway, I think I've yabbered on for long enough, so I'll now hand over to Jim.
Okay, well, I'm going to be brief, as I usually am. First of all, thanks for coming and making this a special occasion. It's almost like a staff meeting. So there's many people I should really acknowledge that were important in the book, in the making of the book and publishing of it. But I'm just going to mention a few. First of all, of course, is David Jones, who was supportive, and Frank Griffin, and John Tagg. And these three people kind of were my buddies in writing this book. And there was a kind of feeling that if we didn't do it now, it'll never get done. Mm-hmm. So there was a kind of a drive to get it finished. So the book itself is there are basically 4 versions of this. There's an online version which has all the photos and videos and all the rest, which you can just log in, just go to the website and look at. There is this paperback version, which has some links to the resources of some of the videos and some of the photos, but for some reason it's always nice to have a hard copy of something. There is a Kindle version, an ebook version of it on Amazon, and then there's also a PDF version. It's a PDF book format. So in other words, it looks like a book, only it's a PDF, and it's basically like an ebook. So there's four of those versions of the book. The book is quite expensive to produce because it has lots of photos, and so it's probably not going to be a big seller. But that wasn't the purpose of writing this book. It was really the purpose of the book was to a record of the department. Now, although it took about 10 years from kind of when I left and kind of started writing the book version of the book, it wasn't a continuous sort of process, with a lot of gaps and did other things. And it really kind of, I needed to be in that kind of, have that same voice. And so the book is trying to be written in the same voice, if you like. And that voice is really one of, you know, in the traditional way, we sat around campfires in the traditional way and passed on stories, family history, you know, tribal history, whatnot. So this is kind of people telling their stories. So there are different voices in here. There's quite a bit of quotes from some of the staff members, and that's their voices. I haven't actually changed any of that. It's a direct quote. So, you know, it has that campfire kind of storytelling aspect to it. Just kind of keeping that image for a minute, when I first came to the department, it was quite tribal, in the sense of just a very small tribe. And they were in that kind of gathering hunter phase. And the kind of emphasis of the department was collecting microbes, identifying them, putting them into collections, in viruses, and sort of, that was the gathering hunting thing. And it took a while before we started to move on to, well, let's study what's their ecology, what are they doing out there? You know, what diseases they cause, and you know, what are they doing in the environment? And then later, we have the molecular biology of these organisms. So that was sort of the the kind of evolution as you'll see in the book. And I guess the other aspect of this is that throughout that writing of the book, what I tried to do is capture the esprit de corps of the department. And as I said before, it's very special, and I think, you know, it'd be good if it came through, because that's what I tried to do. Okay, so thank you again.
It is, thank you.
So, you want to toast it? That's fine. Now, just to let you know, everyone that's come here gets a copy of the book.
There's a copy of it.
And spouses have to share.
Yeah, so we get around.
And the other thing is, if you want to tell your friends, colleagues, the little card here has where you can go online to get them, either out of Amazon or download the ebook version, whatever. So so I'll just leave them up here on the mantle. If anybody wants to collect them, hand them around to anybody who's interested. So that's it.
Well, thanks, Jim. And I mean, Jim's done a fantastic job in recording this history. You know, it's so easy for history just to dissipate. Nobody takes the trouble of getting it down. So it's a real service performed. And as Jim says, the book is mainly the individual stories of the staff, but woven into a very nice, cohesive structure. And then the last chapter is Jim's, his
My
time
memoirs.
and memoir. So it's
So-
very good.
So this is not, strictly speaking, history. There's no references, there's no appendices, there's no index, it's just a memoir. So, you know, you might be disappointed if you want to look up the index. There isn't, you know. So it is written as a memoir. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if any
That
others.
is that I think Jim brought a very special new dimension to microbiology because he brought molecular biology to Otago. And as we said, it had been more descriptive and until then. So James, you know, really set a very important platform for the new science, which was molecular biology. And that was really fabulous. He also produced the greatest stable of postgraduate students that I've seen. It was really quite exceptional. He has produced amazingly good scientists who are now leading the coronavirus debate at present, and they're really quite significant scientists. So you brought brought honour and value to the department, and for that we thank you.
Siri, do you want to say something?
The thing I would like to say is that although the virus research unit was embedded in the department, all the time that we worked there, we felt as though we were in the department, members of the department, and everything was shared, even though people borrowed slides and never returned them.
Never forget it, 20 years later.
But any time that anybody in the virus had wanted anything done, like sequencing or help with culturing or borrowing culture media from down in the kitchen, it was always given freely. And as far as the staff of the department was concerned, we were always treated very fairly and very like we were members of the department, and we really appreciated that. It would have been so much harder working in an institution divorced from the department. So thank you very much for all the help we got.
There's quite a few groups, like on behalf of all of us, I know this is about the history of the department, but I wanted to give a thank you to you on behalf of all of us that went through your lab. You were nothing but supportive the whole time. I still remember sitting at a fax machine at midnight with all my friends all around the university. This is the university's network, and it's all playing Star Trek. It was great. We had the fax sitting in the department as part of Frank's thing about bringing the molecular biology and bringing the computers in. It was really appreciated. But no, thank you very much. And I think also seeing you over all those years, all those little photos, I remember even digging grass scrubs outside paddock somewhere. And there you were taking photos. I was going, really? So I think you obviously got
Source of wonderful photos.
Yes, I'm a little bit worried about what's in it. But yes, so yeah, thank you for doing this, and I think it's something. 20 years ago, I probably wouldn't have appreciated what you've just done. And I think it does take a little bit of time to appreciate the history and to be in a position to recognise it. So thank you for doing this.
Well, thanks, Brendan.
Due regard to the other three wives who played a significant role and feature in the memoirs, and I say that with absolutely no animosity regarding my other journey, but also just to say that this has been a labour of love for my husband, and I think he's done an incredible job. So, well done.
It was James, when you were sort of taking over as head of department, that gave the encouragement for the newsletter, the departmental newsletter, that I so much enjoyed putting together. So that was with your support and encouragement then, and I think that got me on the track of a real interest in documenting history as well. So thank you, James.